So welcome back to this second session of Asia's rice market, food security challenges and policy responses. My name is Shingo Kimura. I'm a principal natural resource and agriculture specialist of ADB, moderating this session. So we had, I think, a great discussion this morning about the evolution of rice market and also the policy setting across the Asia. From India to Thailand to Vietnam. In this region, ASEAN has concrete mechanism of regional cooperation, ASEAN integrated food security system. ADB team has been reviewing this cooperation mechanism, considering all these market changes, more increased impact from climate change, more role for the private sector in rice trade. So we have started, team has started the review since October last year. Thanks to the very close cooperation of APTERR Secretariat and the AFSIS Secretariat, we are able to complete the first draft of this review, which we will share today. And we have excellent panelists. We have, from ADB team, we have Lourdes Adriano and Roel Briones, who are working on this review, in addition to David Doe, that he spoke in the previous session. From APTERR Secretariat, we have General Manager, Mr. Chomjet, on site, and also from AFSIS Secretariat, Ms. Smanya is also here. And also representative from the recipient countries, the Mr. Foni, DDG Foni, also from here, from Lao PDR. And online, we have Mr. Kenji Okuhira, representing the donor part, the Director of Grain Trade Team of the Ministry of Agriculture in Japan. And we also have a privilege to have Dr. Birapat. He's the Director General of the Center Integrated Rural Development for Asia Pacific, who it's based in Bangladesh, but has this ambition to establish this kind of regional cooperation rice reserve system in South Asia. And we have Director Zhang Fen Zhang, who is making a closing remark in this session. So with that, I'd like to invite their review team, but this time, Roel is representing the team and make a presentation for 20 minutes. So Roel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Shingo, and good morning, everyone. So if you could please load my slides. So actually, this is two presentations. It's supposed to be my co-conspirator, Dr. Lourdes Adriano, also presenting. But in the interest of the 20 minutes that Shingo has mentioned, we decided to just have one straight presentation through. So the whole theme is cooperation for regional food security. And the region there focuses on ASEAN +3. And for now, we will look at the ASEAN Integrated Food Security Framework, AIFS, which is the broad umbrella framework for food security in the region. And then the second part is the ASEAN +3 Emergency Rice Reserve, sort of a focus on that. So both are kind of deep dives in line with the title of this session. So again, the first part, which is the ASEAN Integrated Food Security Framework. So we're in that part of the presentation now. And we want to introduce what that is. By the way, you might be complaining later that our slides are very busy. We have to really compress a lot of very new information. But it's new information for some of you, but probably somebody like Somanya or Margaret. Is Margaret here? She already knows what's in the slides. But anyway, so I'll have to appeal to both types of audience here. So we have what is ASEAN Integrated Food Security Framework, what is Strategic Plan of Action for Food Security, and various bullet points underneath, such as the status, such as the providing an assessment, and what are some thoughts from our team moving forward post-2025. All right, so now we look at the content first of the ASEAN Integrated Food Security Framework. So just as a historical background, there have been discussions here and there in the context of agriculture of ASEAN, but food security became highlighted with the 2009 Summit Declaration, where the leaders of ASEAN said, this is our highest policy. It's the paramount, I think the term they used. Paramount policy priority is food security. Not coincidentally, the year before, we had the world rice price crisis. So that was, I think, the trigger for all that discussion. And subsequently, the leaders assigned the ASEAN Ministers of Agriculture and Forestry to provide or develop a framework for food security for the ASEAN. And they came up with these several components, originally 4, expanded to 5, with later editions of the framework, consisting of short-term aspect of food security, component 1. Sustainable food trade development is another aspect of food security, so that's interesting in itself, that rather than self-sufficiency, they wanted to balance it. So domestic policy might promote self-sufficiency, but then they speak with the ASEAN voice, they promoted food trade. So that's interesting. Information, another component. Agri-innovation, there were some discussions in the previous session about R&D and so on. Innovation is certainly part of food security. And the element of nutrition. So if you want to just, if you want to just go beyond satisfying your hunger pang, and you want to see the science behind how healthy your body gets from the food you're eating, then you introduce nutrition. And underneath each of these components are various strategic thrusts. There is not just broad statements or components, but there are specific implementation mechanisms. And I'm not going to highlight all because I'll be presenting 30 slides for all the implementation mechanisms. But here are just some highlighted ones. The APTERR, which we will discuss in the second part of the presentation. The information under AFSIS, ASEAN Food Security Information System. And the ASEAN Food Security Reserve Board, which actually predates, one of the predating agreements about food security in 1979. All right, so all around the universally agreed idea of availability, access, and utilization, and stability. So I think this is the food summit, the definition of food security, and you can see all of the components that unpack those general dimensions. All right, so here are the progress to date. Since 2009, or 2000, actually, 2009 to 2013, there have been a number of phases. And here are some of the issues highlighted under each of these phases. So rather than discussing all of them, I'll just look at some broad strokes. Up to 2013, again, the stimulation for the discussion was the hype by food prices, and also very implicated there were biofuels, and also the issue of climate change. Already by then, it was already very highlighted in all policy discussions. In the next phase, 2015 to 2020, there was a growing emphasis. So we still carry over other concerns like bioenergy, climate change. We start introducing demographic structural changes, and also the need for more definitive indicators. Then came, in next phase, renewed focus on long-term objectives. So raising issues of nutrition security, sustainability, and sustainable solutions, which are then carried over in the 2022 to 23 responses. So the most immediate problems of food security of the region are the rice prices that was highlighted in the previous session. That had some global and regional actions, such as G20 Bali Declaration about export restrictions. And then in 2023, after 2009, the leaders came together and issued another statement on food security. The Declaration on Strengthening Food Security and Nutrition. So they now took on board nutrition as well in their discussion, in some details about inputs, logistics, unimpeded trade, echoing what was mentioned in the G20, and also introducing some new ideas such as the local resource-based food reserves. So now, 2023 to we're now in 2024. We're kind of at the crossroads in deciding where to go for the post-2025 plans. So since the current SPA-FS is scheduled to end by 2025, there now needs to be renewed thinking on what the next version of the SPA-FS will be. It doesn't seem like it's going to be terminated. Oh, we achieved food security for the region, now we'll move to something else. I don't think so. I think we will still be talking about food security and making plans accordingly. The question just is, what are those plans and what is the content? And the idea is to address, in particular, mega challenges 2024 onwards. These have been signaled in these previous developments, but it's going to be probably even more severe than the ones we've already observed in the coming years. Not trying to scare you, but having a proper emergency preparedness. All right, so here is our assessment of past experience. I know maybe I primed you too much to, what do we do after 2025? But before that, let's step back a little bit and see the assessment. So we have been kind of excited with all of these components. So like in component 1, food security and immediate short-term relief, ASEAN +3 emergency rice reserve. But unfortunately, we can say compared with the ambition of the entire ASEAN Integrated Food Security Framework, even though APTERR is very active, and we'll be talking about that in great detail in the second part, they're still not fully operational, shall we say. In component 2, promoting conducive food market and trade under the AFS, ASEAN Food Security Reserve Board, the assessment is it's not operational. For the food security framework, the food security information system, yes, that's active. As we can see in the assessment, but there is no permanent mechanism for regional information base and planning related to information and data for food security. It's not yet been, it's still, in short, the AFSIS remains at a project organizational level. So for R&D, this is under the ASEAN Technical Working Group on Agriculture and Agricultural Research and Development. Wow, there's a big alphabet soup, and I'm feeling my way towards remembering all of these acronyms. They're in the midst of drafting a sustainable agriculture plan based on innovations post-2025. And encouraging greater investment in food and agri-based industry, well, that's private sector function. We left it empty because we could not identify any serious initiatives from regional action, mostly by national food investment actions. So component 4, emerging issues, not operational. Utilization of nutrition information. There's still the idea of integrating it in various mechanisms and discussions there, but it's not been operational. And as well, nutrition, enhancing food, agri and forestry policies and programs. There's a good idea and a good statement, but when we look for concrete actions, it seems to be not yet operational. So out of the 9 strategic thrusts, it seems that 7 are not operational, 2 are partly operational. So that has been the progress so far for the various editions of the Strategic Plan of Action for Food Security. And again, this is not to say, oh, lots of not operational. Let us just abandon it. I don't think that that's the way forward. It's a challenge to do better as a region. Turns out that regional action is not as easy as we think. Much easier is to get a country around. And even the country policy is not even that easy. There's lots of contentions even within a country. Imagine blowing that up at the level of 10 member states or even 13 member states if you're talking about ASEAN +3. So please, let's give some understanding to the hard efforts of various stakeholders engaged in this process. So now, just to continue the assessment, do these address the short and long-term agenda? So we just looked at the activeness of the various thrusts and components. But, you know, the idea is to have an outcome on the ground, an impact on the ground. So what has been happening? So we will focus here on the 3 most active ones. No need to talk about the inactive ones, right? So we have AFSIS, AFSRB, and the ASEAN +3 emergency rice reserves. So we have actually here a lot of activities for the AFSIS, but then because of its project status, it is difficult for this organization to lay down a long-term, because they don't even know what is the organizational format. Suppose that they said, okay, we have this long-term plan, but then somebody pulls the plug on the project because it ended, it terminated, right? Then what's the point of investing so much in that plan? Who will look after and try to follow through with that plan? But there are several very promising initiatives under the AFSIS. There is now a real-time geospatial data being made available. By the way, most of these products are the actual knowledge products and databases and tools are available on the AFSIS website, very transparent organization. Similarly, the APTERR, most of the information is available on their website. But aside from that, there's this capacity building of the various information and statistical agencies that is part of the work being done by this system. So some of their outputs include early warning systems integrated with satellite information. So this is not just within ASEAN, but also in cooperation with other agencies outside the ASEAN indeed, so we can get the best information available in real time, namely with cooperation with the JAXA of Japan, well, that's the +3, and even VEDAS of India. So there's now data sharing on not just agri-production, which is fairly easy to find, but also a little bit difficult to find data on stocks. Stocks of 5 commodities, major food security commodities, are available on the AFSIS website, organized into a food balance sheet. No? There are now products like ASEAN Commodity Outlook, Early Warning Information, Rice Growing Outlook, and being considered now is the Maize Growing Outlook. These are all documents you can download from the website. There have been some discussions with the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development to begin a systematic policy monitoring and policy analysis. Again, this morning's discussion. A lot of it, not just to do with farmers' hard work, scientists' hard work, but politicians' hard work? Yeah, they're working hard. Politicians' hard work to get the policies right. And we can have that also as part of a policy discussion and dialogue that might be undertaken under the broad heading of the AFSIS, as well as, of course, we need more data. Well, sometimes people say there's too much data, but actually there's still some data like what are the actual methane emissions from various crops being produced throughout ASEAN. We have some estimates, but can we make them available in real time and for greater disaggregation, and so on and so forth. Okay, so in the others, we have under AFSRB, it is a legal, so the biggest thing to talk about for the AFSRB, it's a legal binding agreement. There's actually a permanent mechanism by virtue of a 1979 treaty agreement. Unfortunately, a little bit of complexity. The reserves, ASEAN emergency rights reserves, under the oversight of this body, was mobilized into the APTERR. So since then, they have not been discussing the reserves because they're now being discussed under the APTERR context. Briefly, if I may mention, under support of ADB, there were some policy dialogues initiated by the AFSRB. But since the end of that TA support, this also ended. So you see what happens when you just rely on projects? When the funding stops, the activity stops. Is that something we want? No, for some of the very worthwhile initiatives that I've been discussing. All right, so now moving forward to post-2025, there are 3 aspects I think that we can move forward in. So first is for the food security framework to expand. We had in component 1 emergency short-term relief. Can we broaden that now to being prepared for emergency? And I'll have a few more thoughts about what we mean by emergency preparedness for the APTERR discussion. And then, second direction for post-2025 is to more proactively pursue food and nutrition security. So again, there are very grave consequences of ignoring this problem. I think David's presentation on stunting highlighted this. For instance, in 2020 to 2021, there was a 4.8% increase in the cost of a healthy diet. So even before India's actions, there were food price increases galore post-COVID. And that meant for the region alone, ASEAN, 8.4 million additional people. That's I don't know, 10 cities out of Metro Manila. This is almost the size of Metro Manila right there. Or maybe the size of Bangkok. You see, that's the number of people added who could not afford a healthy diet. A need for better analysis linking food insecurity and poor nutrition. So if policymakers are not alerted to this problem and they have $1 million to spend, but they don't know the problem, they'll put it somewhere else. They put in roads, bridges, or submarines. Right? So you need to inform them that maybe your marginal $1 million is better off being put into these kinds of investments to address these very long-term problems. As well as novel approaches. I think mentioned this morning also is fortification. So could we introduce more micronutrient-dense rice fortified in some way? Philippines actually has an innovation called vitamin A rice, where, but the problem is it's a little bit controversial because of its genetic method of introducing the vitamin A. I personally find no problem with this, but other countries might have an issue with that. So for this, I think since we mentioned so much analysis, for AFSIS to intensify the food security data collection, monitoring, and include analysis. So if you look at their website now, they've already starting some steps in that direction where rather than just downloading data, which is already very rich, you can see some of the data being put together in coherent analysis in terms of global, I forgot the exact name, global food security warning something. You can see it in their website. So this is already starting, but again, the project status means that if the countries pull the plug on this project, we don't get this ACO EWI anymore. So those are the implications. Oops, what did I do? I killed my own presentation. No? Right. Careful there. Okay. Yes, so food security agenda for the AFSS. There's a fairly new agenda for post-2025 vision and strategic plan. So again, not just SPIFS, but other agreements under its heading. The vision and strategic plan for FAF. So these are all like inside documents of ASEAN, but they actually probably make a difference in the way the various member states actually craft their policy directions. And so here are some questions that could inform the development of those future plans and documents to concretize what I've just been saying. All right, so that's the first part of the presentation. Aha, you thought I was ending. The second part is the bigger part, 5 minutes. And in 5 minutes, I will deliver to you the meat of this presentation, which is ASEAN +3, Emergency Rice Reserves. So just to give you an idea, it's 13 member states. They agreed to create an emergency rice reserve for the purpose of meeting emergency requirements, achieving humanitarian purposes in a way that does not distort normal trade of rice. Emergency is this rather technical definition, state or condition in which an APTERR party, one of the 13 member states, due to extreme and unexpected calamity, is unable to cope with the state or condition through its national reserve and is unable to procure the needed supply through normal trade. And it has a governance structure. There is a council with a secretariat hosted in Bangkok, Thailand, physically within the Office of Agricultural Economics of the Ministry of Agriculture. Its tasks are broadly food emergency monitoring and information tool and operations and admin support. All right, so here are the components of that emergency rice reserve. There's the earmark reserve, and the data on the earmark reserve is on the table on the right. And these are to meet emergency requirements of rice of any of the ASEAN countries. So by treaty agreement, this pool of 787,000 tons is supposed to be available to any one member state in case of emergency as defined previously. And to evaluate the state of emergency, that's the tool of surveillance that we call food emergency monitoring and information. Aside from that, so these are permanent commitments and obligations. There's also a stockpiled emergency rice reserve, which is voluntary donations that can be used to address current humanitarian operations in cases of disaster. So that's also been very active. This is for delivered as grant because it's humanitarian aid. the release under the emergency rice reserve of this 787,000 tons is not necessarily for humanitarian aid. It could be for commercial transaction. And indeed, there is currently a forward contract between Japan and Philippines holding until now on the earmarked rice reserve of Japan. But in fact, since 2011 establishment of APTERR, there has been no release from this 787,000. There's been no transaction. So this is the commercial tier 1. Tier 2 is the grant or long-term loan. There's been also no transaction. What has been very active is the stockpiled emergency rice reserve, the so-called tier 3 program. And there are various recipient countries. Let me just go straight to the data. Here we go. These are the total, these are the recipient countries since 2011. What has been received, biggest share, Philippines, 13,000 tons in total, 10,000 tons Vietnam, 9,000 tons Myanmar, and others Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, and Thailand. Where did the rice come from? It came from these donor countries. Biggest contributor is Republic of Korea, followed by Japan, Thailand, China, and Malaysia. All right, so what is the assessment of this APTERR? So it's been releasing mostly as humanitarian loan. If you compare to other regional reserves, not just rice, no, grain reserves, they have been releasing in terms of loan. So this is the ECOWAS of Africa, East Africa, and the SARC of South Asia. Tier 2 has been inactive because there's been no interest from the country earmarking rice to provide the rice for free or under long-term loan. The tier 1 has not been able to release because the very stringent definition of emergency was never satisfied. So there's been no authorization for its release. So I already mentioned for the lack of responsiveness of at least the earmarked rice reserve. Also, the earmarked rice reserve of ASEAN member states, if I may argue this, is too small. It's 87,000 out of the 700,000 tons, right? And this is the more affordable rice, and that's the one that is small. So from the demanding country's viewpoint, why? Why will I contract to purchase expensive short grain rice from Japan or Korea, right? So it's just kind of just common sense. Well, we have other assessment on the stockpiled emergency rice reserves. So this is very active, but this is often moving small quantities of rice. It's subject to a smaller budget. It's easier to disburse. We have other actually previous reviews of their operations, and actually several recommendations from those previous reviews were adopted, but not all of them. And so we have a few recommendations, and I conclude with this. First, for the earmarked rice reserves, to include emergency preparedness. So if the definition of emergency is too strict, maybe you can allow releases for the purpose of prepositioning for a potential emergency. So this principle is already enshrined for the stockpiled emergency rice reserves, but it's not allowed for the earmarked rice reserves. But if we can open that up, then that could increase the responsiveness of the mechanism. Second recommendation is to increase the quantity of affordable rice within earmarked rice reserves. There are 3 steps for this. This requires a little bit of technical discussion on how it's done, but the principle is that one, that for demanding countries like Philippines, like Indonesia, to continue and follow through their interest in availing of earmarked rice reserves, the rice should be affordable as well, because that's one of the hallmarks of food security, one of the dimensions. Third is to move to faster moving, more efficient. So the literature on humanitarian aid tends to favor cash. You could designate the cash for the procurement of certain goods of humanitarian nature, but waiting for shipments from foreign countries to respond to emergencies in another country has been well known to be too slow to be meaningful in many contexts. Sometimes it's fast, but very often than not, it's too slow. Okay, so to conclude, steering ASEAN member states to a food security framework could be motivated by the fact that food security, even at the regional level, is actually a regional public good. So if you don't want to contribute because you just want to enjoy the benefits of the public good, then welcome to it. But if you all pull together, so that's the idea of a public good, right? If we contribute together, we will all stand to benefit, and hope this spirit animates the rest of the discussion post-2025. Um, all right, so I think I already made the point about APSIS developing the database. APTERR remains an important food security measure, but I think there are improvements that could be made, and I've enunciated what those improvements that might be. And I have further discussions, the pointers for the panel, but unlike the previous one, I will not present them. The panel knows them. And welcome to the next part of this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roel. And it's very complex issue structure in 20 minutes, and so many acronyms that you can remember. That's incredible. Anyway, so now we invite all the panelists to the stage. GM Chomjet and DDG Foni, and also APSIS manager Smaya. Please. So while waiting for the arrival of the panelists, let me, I think, first start to pose question to GM Chomjet. You have seen the presentation from the ADB team. I would like to have your feedback to particularly on the recommendations and assessment to the APTERR reserve, and also, given this evolving diversification of diet, is it worth considering like other commodities than rice in this regional reserve system, and what would be your key challenge and opportunity you see after moving forward? So I'd like to give 10 minutes, if you wish, to this discussion. Please.
Good morning, distinguished participants and moderator Shingo-san and all the panelists. Okay. First of all, the APTERR Secretariat would like to express our sincere gratitude to the ADB for hosting this forum to share the information and the assessment of the APTERR activities after the establishment of the APTERR more than 10 years. And also thanks to ADB to provide the technical assistance to have the ADB consultant team to review the APTERR activities and provide the recommendation for ASEAN plus 3 countries for the APTERR to move forward in another, I don't know, maybe it can be long-term sustainable until. Anyway, after first I would like to provide some comment on the recommendation of the consultant team. For the recommendation on the including the emergency preparedness as a purpose of the APTERR, we realized that the definition or terminology of the emergency in the APTERR agreement is quite rigid. That's why we cannot implement the Tier 1 program during after the establishment of the APTERR. So I think this time that if we take the recommendation of ADB to present to the ASEAN plus 3 member country to convince that probably we need to amend the agreement, in particular the definition or the terminology of the emergency, to, as recommended by the consultant team, that we should focus on the emergency preparedness and also food security for the future. And also we also agree that we can use the FIMI as the analytical tool to assess the food security in the region. That's why we need to get more information and accurate information from the country. Because what I understand that in the past, probably some country still not provide the accurate information to APSIS. And then FIMI after we obtain the information from APSIS and then we analyze. Because FIMI after we get only the information on rice in particular. Because APSIS analyze 5 food commodity, including rice. That's why FIMI we obtain the information on rice from APSIS. And then for the question from Chingo-san, first, given evolving importance of rice, is it worth considering other commodity in a regional emergency food reserve? I think actually the ASEAN plus 3 member country of APTERR already expressed the interest to expand the commodity apart from rice. But we have to comply with the agreement that for the establishment of APTERR, we focus on rice. But in the future, if the country agreed to expand more commodity apart from rice, I think it could be possible as well, but we need to arrange how to implement that. Maybe we can have some like a listing of the commodity. Maybe rice on the primary list, and maybe secondary list could be, for example, cassava or maize, because rice is the staple food that the people, ASEAN people can consume directly compared to other commodity of APSIS information like sugarcane or maize. Maize it can be both animal feed and also can produce as a corn that human can consume directly. We can consider that as well. And for the recommendation on increasing the amount of the earmark stock, personally, for me, in my own opinion, I agree to increase the amount of the earmark stock, because as Dr. Royal presented, you can see that the earmark stock contributed from each country is quite small. Only the plus 3 country that contribute large amount. Even Thailand contribute only 15,000 metric ton. Vietnam 14,000 metric ton. These are 2 major rice producer in the region. The other country even smaller than that. So recommended by the team that if the country can increase same level as the plus 3 country, I think could be better off for the region, because in time of crisis, maybe the market sentimental can ensure that at least we have the earmarked emergency rice reserve in the region. That could help the market sentiment and also the price stabilization, that the market not to panic that probably we don't have enough food supply, life supply in the region. So in that case, if we can increase the amount of earmark stock in the region, I think could be better. But anyway, we need to discuss with the members there. As you can see that for ASEAN country, the ASEAN spirit is mean every country must agree upon together to reach consensus. And for the question that if APTERR can have the other cooperation with other international agency or partner, I think that if we can look at the situation right now, because right now after we provide the humanitarian assistance for natural disaster, but if we can plan that pre-natural disaster and also during the emergency of disaster and also the post disaster, so we can see that if we can have the preparedness for the natural disaster in a way that the APTERR Secretariat can cooperate with other international organizations such as the World Food Program or ASA or other international program in the region for the preventive measures and mitigation measure to the member country. So during the crisis or during the disaster, so we can help with the affected country to provide some response. And also the post disaster also we can cooperate with World Food Program and ASA to provide assistance with the victim of the member countries. So I think I cover what the question that Chingo already asked me, in order to save time for other panelists. And also would like to thank to ADB that after the review of this consultative, probably we need the support for ADB to support us for other activity that recommended by the consultative as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, GM Chomjet. So now, we'd like to listen from the, AFSIS manager, Ms. Sumaya. I mean, we have discussed so much this morning about the importance of information sharing. Of course, market information, but also policy information that the Minister Fat was also emphasizing. We have new data requirement on sustainability, meta emissions. So we have, I think AFSIS is playing a very important role and an even more important role in the future. So I'd like to ask you several questions, on this reaction to these presentations. And also this, AFSIS is not a permanent structure and how this can be most sustainable and so on. So I guess the floor is yours, Ms. Sonia, please.
Even I have the high heel today, but I think my high is not enough. But okay, I think everyone can see me. Very good morning. Even have only 5 minutes. It will be lunchtime. Thank you very much, ADB, for inviting me to join this event, and I appreciate to be here to sharing about the APSIS activity and project implementation. First of all, please allow me, I would like to give a short brief of APSIS project. Give me the slide, please. I would like to present about the APSIS. APSIS was established since 2003, it has been carried out in the compliance with the mandate of the meeting of ASEAN Minister on Agriculture and Forestry +3, AMAP+3 as a project. So you can see this is a long journey from APTERR, more than 20 years. But however, we still be the project. And we also try to move on to be the permanent mechanisms. So APTERR is a project-based initiative that receives support from ASEAN member state and the +3 country. And it's a report, we have to report to SOMAMAP and AMAP+3 in the annual meeting about the progress of the project. And the APTERR Secretariat is established solely to support and facilitate APTERR. The objective of strengthening food security in the region through the systematic collections, analysis, and disseminations of the food security related information. Maybe I give you the background and the presentation is come later. Thank you about the technical no problem. Okay, the main activity of the APTERR are divided into components. With the first one is a food security information development, and the second is a human resource development. In a regional context, APTERR has been one of the various mechanisms handling food security network system to ensure long-term and sustainable food security in the region by providing food security information and analysis for the people and policymakers to have the content access to reliable information. This collaborative and cooperations among the ASEAN member state and +3 country. Right now that I inform you more than 20 years that APTERR was established. But however, right now APTERR still be the project, and under the project status, APTERR is operated by contributions of the ASEAN member state and a +3 country. Example like Thailand, they contribute the cost and the workload to maintain the secretariat in Thailand. For the other ASEAN state, workload to report data and information to the secretariat. Cost to attend the meeting or other organize the focal point meeting or annual meeting, they have to pay by for each country. And we also have contributions from the +3 country. The main country is Japan. Part of the cost of the maintains the secretariat that are covered by the operational cost of the Japan Fund project. Japan will give the technical project 3 years, 4 years. So we got the support from Japan. For the Korea, they provide project. Right now we call like a real-time APTERR project, but unfortunately they cannot provide for 10 countries. They provide only 6 countries: Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, PDR, Myanmar, Philippines, and Vietnam. And China also organized the training course workshop for 10 countries. Regarding the food security information report from APTERR, so we disseminate 3 types of the risk of the report. The first one is the ASEAN Agriculture Community Outlook, or we call ACO report, has been published twice a year, so on June issue and December issue. And the second is the ASEAN Early Warning Information, or EWI report, has been published twice a year as well on the March and September issue. So, and the third is a monthly, we call Rice Growing Outlook, or RGO report. It's a report for monitoring the rice situation that ADB team presents about the dialogue. Like we have this type of the report. And also, okay, next slide, please. Next more. Next slide. Okay. The third type of report is monthly rice growing outlook. So a report situation of rice growing, and also this year or under the current project of Japan, we prefer to conduct more one report like for May's outlook. So we will publish and share to people soon. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, that I mentioned, like the second component of the APTERR is human resource development. So we conduct the workshop and trainings, and we invite the member country, 10 member country, to learn. We transfer the knowledge and teach them about the new technology. Example about the satellite applications or real-time message or any technical related about the statistics and agriculture. So we have several workshops per year. So I think this is a human capacity building, the main component of APTERR as well. Okay, next please. Okay, this is an example of the workshop that APTERR provide to ASEAN member country. And we also get support from other organizations. In the picture, we get support from JAXA and RESTIC. Okay, next. Okay, but however, that I mentioned, we still have the limitations of the APTERR still be the project. But however, we would like to move forward and make a sustainability of APTERR. But before we well known about the constraint and the challenge, if we cannot touch about the money, I think it's impossible. For the first one related about the budget and operation costs, I'm not give more the detail, I just want to deliver the key message. And the second, lack of the complete of the update data for analysis that Mr. Chumjet mentioned. Some information we got, but it's not accuracy. And about because the person who take response for this activity of the APTERR secretly changed in the officer who provide data to the APTERR, because this is the work as a voluntary collaboration from the member country. So sometimes we cannot force them. The data is not come on time, or maybe the quality of the data we cannot complain much. But however, we can claim the data from APTERR is official data because we got from the source of the government. So I think the data from the APTERR is really valuable, and we're very proud to share. And it's very useful. And we would like to mention about why we would like to make our organization to be the permanent mechanism. We would like to refer about the ASEAN Leader Declaration on the strengthening food security and nutrition in response to the crisis. From last year, they also said like APTERR is very important. We are to collaborate together with the ASEAN member country, and also mentioned in the declaration for the strengthens the existing role, functions, and sustainability of APTERR to provide the necessary data as well as early warning information that improve the monitoring of food price, market rate, sharing of market information, and consumer alert. So we can outline, this is the important point that we would like to encourage the member to agree to make APTERR to be the permanent mechanism. Okay, next please. Before, okay, I would like to deliver why we afford to transfer to permanent mechanism. The reason for pushing APTERR to be sustained in the future, because we know we would like to be the central light. APTERR will be the data hub for food security in the ASEAN Part 3, providing the service to everyone, and collaborative effort among the official and reliable government agency. And also, if we are the permanent mechanism, APTERR will be able to efficient and flexibly develop a long-term operation plan, enabling continued and sustainable functioning without budget maintenance implications. Moreover, the opportunity and flexibility to cooperate with the other organizations. For financial support, increase opportunity to other funding organizations that would like to support us. But if we don't have any status, so maybe the other organization cannot come and support. And the most important thing about the activity, the capacity of building under APTERR activity for ASEAN's member country will be enhanced for more efficiency. Okay, so I think next I come to the questions. The first questions related about the APTERR. The first question, like, yes, okay, with the proposed long-term agenda of the APTERR of the resilient and sustainable agriculture and food system for active food and nutrition, can APTERR add more food security data? Consequently, regarding the food security information development, APTERR Secretariat keep updating and publish APTERR database and food security information report for 5 communities: rice, maize, sugarcane, cassava, and soybean. And especially about the ACO report, we also provide about the balance sheet, include about the data both of the supply and demand. So I think for right now we provide only the production and this is information, but about the nutrition we not present or public yet, but however we think ACO provide balance sheet information that can be used to calculate nutrition information from other relevant mechanisms, okay, for achieving the food and nutrition security. For the second, regarding about the climate change and recurrence and on environment and biodiversity related data. So APTERR and ASEAN member, ASEAN and ASEAN Part 3 member country have presented the new project we call like a report and disseminate and the information regarding the serious disaster. So we in the website we also provide about the news about the serious disaster. So the ASEAN member or the people can access. So example like last year we provide 7 reports about this. In addition, APTERR Secretariat published about a special report on the global warming and the food insecurity on the APTERR website. The information is very useful for the people. We provide detail of information regarding the global warming, greenhouse gas emissions, and agriculture sector. So moreover, right now the current project, the support from Japan, we call the strengthening APTERR's function on immediate sharing for the food security information in case of emergency for 10 ASEAN member country. But however, we not launch the data or the system yet because we work under the 10 country, ASEAN member country. We have to follow the ASEAN protocol. So we have to discuss in the meeting and we get the consensus and agree together about this system first. So APTERR Secretariat will arrange the further discussion with the member country about the definitions of emergency, the crisis, and this disaster and data availability in this year annual meeting in June in the Malaysia. So I think about the emergency data, it will be public soon. Okay. For the second question related about the permanent mechanism, I think I give the reasons why we have to put and to be the mechanism. So, but however, that I say follow the ASEAN's member, we cannot deliver like what kind of structure we would like to make the permanent mechanism, but however is under the process. But for sustain APTERR in the future is require ongoing commitment for the ASEAN member and collaboration among member country and the other relevant stakeholder to ensure that the system continue to evolve and address the region changing food security needs efficiency. And also we try to make more stronger. It's not for us for today, but however for the other young generation and the people in the future as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Maya. It's very good overview of APTERR and challenge and issues. ADB itself also working on this developing informations, food security information system for Asia Pacific. We have later session discussing IFPRI ADB collaboration on Asia Pacific food security information system. So this is maybe linked to this ASEAN system, and we really think this information sharing is fundamental for this regional cooperation agenda. So now, next to moving to the voice from the recipient country's view, DDG FONI, I would like to also ask you your reaction to this review and also your perception of this APTERR and APTERR to your country, and also what this cross-border international cooperation measure will be needed to ensure this attainment of ASEAN food security agenda of resilient, sustainable ASEAN food system, and also how you observe this previous session on different each country's policies, importing countries, exporting countries, from Lao perspective. I appreciate your view. You can stay there or you come here with you.
Good morning. Apologize, I don't have a slide to show, so I just prepare as a comment. So based on the assigned the questions given to me. So first of all, I'm very thankful for including me into this very important session. And yes, so first of all, I also congratulate the presenter, Mr. Royal. You summarize very well. I mean, you review very well in terms of the work done and the future, and the question to me also. And for sure, that first of all, I would like to share the experience as the recipient countries as part of the AFTA, especially AFTA. And you know, Laos is also rice, especially sticky rice is the staple food for Laos. So part of our development policy is we have 4 main programs. We have the first one is food security, and for nutrition also. So as last year we the report we produce sufficient rice and for consumption and surplus for sharing, and some export to the niche market in some countries, neighboring countries. So though we produce enough for consumption, in average we still have a shortage in some part of the countries. This is due to well, the climate change is one of the issue. The other one is linked to the transportation, where you know, and then also proper planning that we normally province to province should share or trade with each other. So some province that doesn't produce enough rice for consumption but import from other countries. One is linked to the production itself. You know, they think buying from or importing is cheaper, either from the country along the border or the province that border with their own province. And in this case, once we have the bad events like disasters, like for example, tropical, most of the time we have storm that damage and cause flood, and also damage to the road that we cannot transport the rice to them. So under the program of AFTA, so Laos is also receive support, for example, in 2022. So we have the quick response with a good quality of rice, about 1,000 ton, million ton from Korea and Japan. So we, with this donation or support, we can support or keep livelihood of the people affected by the flood in that year. And we continue to improve our own production. And then in order to improve the situation, meaning not to, I mean, to be able to give the rice or trade the rice, provide the sufficient rice inside the country. Now the government is, especially after the COVID, we experience the border blocks, and not only between the country, but also between the province. So now the government think we need to be our own sufficiency, which I'm sure that will link to the question raised for me after Royal presentation. So we have to be self-sufficient in somehow, just in case after COVID, we have conflict, different type of conflict that because of the prices that the government should rethink. So we should be able to balance the consumption or the production and the consumption inside the country. And I think I'll come back to the tier 3 that we have donated rice. The Lao government appreciate very much, and thank you to the programs and the donation countries. So coming to the, I have 2 questions from given by Royal based on the presentation he presented. So the first one is about cross-border measures that we'll need to ensure the attainment of the ASEAN food security agendas of resilience and sustainable, the ASEAN food system for the attainment of food nutrition security. Through these questions, I think we need to ensure the attainment of the ASEAN food security agenda of resilient and sustainable food system for the attainment of food and nutrition security. Several cross-border measures needed. Should focus on the promotion of collaboration, trade facility, and the sustainable management of natural resources. Some key cross-border measures including one is regional trade agreement that ASEAN member countries should work together toward the harmonization of trade policy and the reduction of trade barrier to facilitate the movement of the food across the borders. This may conflict with what I said about our government trying to focus on domestic production, but this can be achieved through the implementation of regional trade agreements that promote the free flow of the agricultural products while ensuring the food safety and quality standard to be met. So second one is on the information sharing and collaboration. It is also very important. Enhance collaboration and the information sharing among ASEAN member states can help in address food shortage, also surplus and the price fluctuations. This includes the sharing of the best practices, technology, and research on sustainable agriculture practices, as well as early warning system for food emergencies. This morning we hear from His Excellency Dr. Cao Đắc Phát during his comments. So sharing information is very important, learning from each other. And the third one, it will be on the infrastructure development, investment in cross-border infrastructure such as roads, ports and storage facility is crucial for the efficient movement of the food within the region. This will help to reduce transportation and post-harvest loss, improving access to markets for small-scale farmers. A while ago, I discussed with Royal also about the we in the 1,000 million tons that we receive donation from Korean and Japanese government, we have also the administration cost is also very high. So due to, I think, the transportation. So that's why road is very important. Sustainable resource management collaborative efforts are needed to promote the sustainable management of natural resources, including water, land, forests, to ensure the long-term productivity of agricultural systems. This may involve the development of a joint conservation and management plan for shared natural resources. 5, climate change adaptation and resilience. Given the increased impact of the climate change on food productions, ASEAN member states should work together to develop and implement the climate resilience agricultural practices and technology. This may include the sharing the climate-related data, the development of the joint adaptation strategy, and so on. 6 is on capacity building and technology transfer. The ASEAN member countries should promote the exchange of knowledge, expertise in agriculture, research and technology to improve the productivity and resilience in food production. This can be achieved through joint training programs, technology transfer initiatives, and also collaborative research projects. I'm sure that we are doing that, but we need to continue to have more. For example, from my good experience joining the program, for example, the ASEAN +3 South-South cooperation that allows benefit from the expertise of Philippines and with the support, the budget support from Japan. And other programs supported by also China and Korea. I think ADB is also welcome to support similar concept like this. By implementing these measures, ASEAN. Okay. So member countries collectively work toward building resilient, sustainable food system to ensure food nutrition security for the entire region. So sorry for the time, and I may end my comments here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, DDG, for me. And I think you prepare the comments to us very well. I think we would like to have in writing. It will be very useful. So please share to Lourdes and Roy and myself. That would be very useful. So I'd like to now hear from the voice from the donor side, and we would like to have Director Kenji Okuhira from Ministry of Agriculture of Japan to come to the stage. I appreciate your view with this presentation by Roy and our ADB team. Mr. Okuhira, are you there? No? Okay. So maybe I move to the last speaker, the Mr. Birapat. I think it's he's online, and I'd like to hear your perspective from the South Asia regional cooperation point of view. Is Mr. Birapat online?
Yes, I'm online.
Okay,
Do
please.
you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you very well, please.
Okay, all right. Honorable moderator, the panelists, distinguished participants, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm good morning from Center on Integrated Rural Development for Asia and the Pacific. The organization is an intergovernmental organization to promote integrated rural development for Asia and the Pacific, and it's based in Dhaka, Bangladesh, with 15 member countries, 7 from Southeast Asia, 7 from South Asia, and 1 from the Pacific. First of all, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to ADB for inviting me to attending and to attend this panelist at this session forum. I will address the implication of APTERR framework to the proposed South Asian Food Emergency Reserve, or in abbreviation, SAFER, and also respond to the 2 questions from ADB. So I'd like to share this PowerPoint. APTERR is considered by myself as one of the integrated rural development models. The South Asian Food Emergency Reserve, I proposed this to the Honorable Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Excellency Sheikh Hasina, in 2022 on the establishment of APTERR, and I mentioned about possibility to establish for the South Asia and also for the Asia Pacific region. And she kindly mentioned that it should not be only rice, but also cover a variety of food items. So this we keep in mind of her policy guidance. So the establishment of the food reserve among the Asia Pacific country will be based on the principle of self-reliance, which contribute to strengthen national economic resilience, as well as economic resilience and solidarity of the Asia Pacific countries and the South Asian country. As part of the SERDAP program on emergency issues on disaster management, SERDAP would like to combine its Center on Geoinformatic Applications on Rural Development with SAFER to develop decision support system to help facilitate coordination and operation plan and action among the member countries. Regard to the 2 questions, the first question is enabling a conducive food market and trade a vital trust for achieving food and nutrition security and resilient and sustainable food system? In fact, I'm not a specialist on this issue, but we have a group of experts at SERDAP. So we consult the expert of SERDAP and come up with answers. We consider that food marketing and trade is a mechanism for distributing food from production directly to consumer. It creates opportunity for more consistent access to food and therefore creating and developing efficient food markets and trade, especially in South Asia, is an important strategic driver to achieve food and nutrition security and resilient and sustainable food system. And the answer to this question is yes. Only if the country is facing food and nutrition insecurity, as well as weak and unsustainable food system, mainly due to the inefficient food market and trade. Otherwise, conducive food market and trade for achieving food and nutrition security should be enabled. What to be done on food market and trade to make it conducive to food and nutrition security need to be studied, researched, and actioned upon. Some example of past policy to enable food and nutrition security in Thailand were the Rice Price Support Program, the Rice Buffer Stock Project, Rice Mortgage Project. And those of ASEAN and SAARC have been the ASEAN +3 Emergency Rice Reserve Program and the SAARC Food Security Reserve. With regard to the question 2, is building local reserves a policy option for strengthening the country's preparedness for economic shock? The answer is yes. Though national food reserves have been established in many countries of ASEAN and SAARC, these are costly and inefficient, especially during emergency. In Thailand project to urge farmers group and farm cooperatives to construct small paddy and rice storage of saying 500 tons around the major rice producing area have been promoted up to the present day. And I would say yes, when talking about building local resources. I mean, we look into vulnerable communities such as food insecurity hotspot, school children in remote areas, migrant workers who are target consumers facing poverty, poor dissemination of or ineffective access to public distribution system, communities affected by climate change and related disaster on a frequent or repeating basis. This is the reason to set up farmer group cooperatives to coordinate and to operate on such policy. It can be operated in a form of preparedness and response mechanism and not on a usual emergency management basis. Of course, knowledge and understanding to have effective action plans prior to the implementation phase are important factors in this matter for government function levels and local farmer groups and cooperatives. We should be able to predict the amount of food required for reserve as well. In conclusion, and the way forward, the establishment of SEVA will be a new initiative of the South Asian region to mitigate impacts of climate change and disaster risks on food security for the marginalized rural communities of this country in the region. And so that we consult with BIMSTEC, BIMSTEC, the Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation, and the SAARC Agriculture Center on the proposed SEVA and mean of implementation. And so that we propose it to the upcoming Executive Committee and the Governing Council meeting in June this year. And that's my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Birapat. The reason why ADB has conducted this review of APTERR is not only to improve the APTERR, but also get lessons to the other regions. For example, the GM Chomjet kindly participated in the earlier session in the CAREC, Economic Cooperation and Food Security, and APTERR's experience highly regarded relevant for the CAREC Central Asian countries. Now, I'd like to call again Director Okuhira. If you are online, you may have some few comments to to our presentations. Are you there?
Yeah. Good morning.
Yes, please.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting us today. We would like to thank the ADB for their hard work. I would like to respond to the first question for us. Please, slide. Japan has contributed more than 7,000 metric tons of the rice to Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and the Philippines through the APTERR Tier 3 program. Moreover, Japan has introduced new initiatives such as the Black Rice Assistance and the School Distribution Program to enhance the effectiveness of APTERR activities. On the other hand, in recent years, the ASEAN region tends to face frequent natural disasters, and it is required to respond more flexibly, not only to major disasters, but also small and medium ones. In order to meet this challenge, Japan is considering to introduce new activities, namely rice storage hub project. This program aims to provide more expeditious and efficient assistance to neighboring countries which have suffered from the natural disasters by utilizing rice storage hub in the ASEAN region instead of stockpile rice in prospective recipient countries. Next slide, please. In normal Tier 3 program, the recipient country is decided in advance and the rice is stockpiled in the country's warehouse. Therefore, it is usually impossible to distribute the rice in the other countries. On the other hand, in the new program, the rice is stockpiled in the host country as a rice storage hub without deciding the recipient country, and the rice will be released in the neighboring countries based on the request. It is expected to make the disaster response more flexible. This project refers to the proposal, including in the feasibility studies report by the ADB in 2016, which recommended to establish a sub-regional hub. We hope such initiative will improve the Tier 3 program and contribute to further development of the activities. Next slide, please. Regarding the next question, I would like to respond to the next question. Last year, the rice contributed by Japan was released to the school children in the Philippines through the school distribution program under Tier 3 for the first time. We believe this initiative will contribute toward achieving the goal of the no poverty and zero hunger in the SDGs. Also, as the scale of the natural disasters in the ASEAN region tend to get larger, we believe it is important to utilize the Tier 1 program to respond more effectively. Currently, the only signed MOC for releasing Tier 1 is 10,000 metric tons between Japan and the Philippines. We believe we can enhance emergency preparedness by achieving more tier-1 cooperation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director Okuhira, for the explaining very well the Japan's support to APTERR and the continued support to these initiatives. So I'm very sorry that we exceeded a lot of time. Unfortunately, we don't have time to interact with others. I think I suggest that APTERR's colleagues, all colleagues remaining this afternoon, so we can hopefully we can interact with them directly. We'd like to now invite our Director of Agriculture, Food, Nature, Rural Development Sector Office, Jiang Zhang, to make a closing remark covering whole 2 sessions this morning. So please go ahead.
Thank you very much, speakers and participants, for joining this morning's consecutive deep dive sessions on Asia's rice market, food security concerns, and policy response. We had a rich and comprehensive contents covering regional cooperation, market development, and policy reforms. Thanks, General Manager of APTER, Mr. Chomjek, and representatives from ASEAN's food security initiatives, country representatives, and experts for sharing the progress and lessons learned from the country reform initiative and regional cooperation mechanism in the last decade. The first session this morning provided a good overview of the evolution of Asia's rice production, distribution, consumption, and trade patterns. The session deliberated on how policy actions should be effectively formulated to support market stability, facilitate the effective transformation of agri-food systems, and ensure long-term food security. The second session discussed the draft report of the systematic review of ASEAN Integrated Food Security Framework and the implementation of APTERR program. I hope lessons learned from this exercise will be useful for further strengthening the function of ASEAN Integrated Food Security Framework and provide relevant lessons for developing regional food reserve system, food security early warning information system, and trade policy dialogue platform in other regions. ADB team will present the findings of this exercise at the APTERR Council meeting in Beijing in about 2 weeks' time. We believe this is the right time to discuss how this regional cooperation mechanism, market development, and policy reforms in ASEAN contributed to the regional food security in the last decade and how they should evolve, reflecting the evolving market and policy circumstances. Going forward, ADB will continue to support the policy reform program toward a more sustainable and resilient rice sector. For example, ADB supported the rice tariffication reform program in the Philippines through policy-based lending since 2020. We would like to continue engaging with the policymakers in the region to explore such opportunities for such an important issue. Thanks again, participation of country representatives and distinguished experts today. We also highly appreciate APTERR Secretariat for your close collaboration during the review. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Jung Fen. And really thanks everyone. Please give again the big applause to all the panelists and speakers.